I think it is dragging a little.
Facebook is gonna run a little bit behind, but it's okay.
It's now streaming live on Facebook.
We're live. Okay. Yeah. We're live. All right. So I'm here with the Johnson family, Tamia, Tamara, Tiara, and Lady Johnson, Miss Johnson. We call her Lisa, though. I just call her plain old Lisa, y'all.
That's right.
So we're here, and we're going to talk about the Johnson family going to college debt-free. So I've had the pleasure of working with all three of them over the years, but right now we have Tamia and Tamara are both away at hashtag HBCUs. Woo! And we have Tamia over at we have Tamia, she's up in Tallahassee at the FAMU, Florida A&M University.
Strike again.
So Rattlers, I know I got some Rattlers on my timeline. Where y'all at? And then we have Tamara that is at the Howard University at Washington, D.C., but she's home in the MIA right now.
Yeah.
And then we have Tiara, the rising junior, the rising star of the family. And she is working on her debt-free ride to college right now as we speak. And mom is like, "Whoo, thank God we got a plan."
Gotta have a plan.
So we're gonna start with Tamia today because Tamia has to go to work. Interesting.
Yes.
To go to work. and so tell them a little bit about yourselves. It says we're live, but I'm gonna double check. But Tamia, go ahead and talk. If we're not, I'll figure it out later.
I am the first child of all four. I am currently a music industry student at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. I will be graduating this December.
Yes.
Yes.
A semester early, yes.
A semester early, yes. I am a musician. I'm an artist. I am very passionate about my music. I have been devoting a lot of time to, trying to perfect my craft during this quarantine. But I've also been, working very hard, which is why I gotta do my interview first because sister needs to pay this rent. But I started with Miss Tandy in like 2012, maybe, like so long ago.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
School with math tutoring. I found a geometry packet from your geometry EOC with Miss Host the other day. Can you believe that?
Geometry books. They're still in that house. Those geometry books are still in that house. We started because I was having some trouble with my teacher. I thought she was mean. So my mom got me a tutor to kind of help with the reinforcement at home because I just could not speak up in class and tell my teacher that, I was having issues with the math. And I actually skipped pre-algebra. I went from 6th grade math straight into algebra. I did not have any pre-algebra. I never had any precursor to starting high school math. So Miss Tandy, was very influential in me passing the class because after that I went to geometry and I started high school doing algebra 2. And I was able to finish all my high school math within 2 years. Then I started my college math. So, I think me working with Miss Tandy allowed me to get so much further ahead than a lot of my classmates who were, either on pace or were falling behind. But because I was, I had the one-on-one reinforcement, I was able to actually like double the time that I was completing my courses. And it also helped me like to stay on top of everything else because even though I was advanced in math, but I also was advanced in every other topic too. So having, help in these topics helped me to actually do better in the rest of my classes too. And I scored the highest in math on my SAT. As horrible as I thought I was in math, I almost got perfect. Pretty much almost got perfect. So I know for a fact that was not by my doing. I know that was insane.
Yeah, Tamia had the unfortunate situation of she had to take their very first SAT when they switched from the old format that like Lisa and I took, and you as a parent probably took back in the day, she was in that first group that took that test, and we were just going on what was available online. I found like one book that I trusted with her for us to go through this process, but she was grinding it out. It was hard because there's a lot of unknown, but we had to build her confidence, even though she was in a situation where we didn't know. So tell us a little bit about bringing us up to senior year now. So what was going on senior year?
Senior year, aside from being, president of clubs and, all the other senior festivities that I had going on, I had, I think, 4 APs that year. And it was a lot of work. They say that to make your junior year the most work so that you can kind of relax your senior year. I decided to do more my senior year because I just always have wanted to do more. So I had all these AP classes, between science, math, writing, history. And so it was just a lot. And also trying to get applications in for colleges, and that the process to apply to a college alone is probably one of the most stressful processes you can go through if you don't have somebody to coach you through it. So, being a senior, you think it's going to be all fun. You got prom, grad bash, all these different things going on. But if you don't pass those classes and if you don't get those applications in, what you're looking at after you graduate is not something, that you want to do. So I passed all my tests that year. I passed most of my AP tests in general, but I passed my test that year and I was able to get all my applications in for my colleges. I did a few college tours, and I also did some scholarship fairs with Miss Tandy. We actually drove all the way up to, I think, Broward or something like that.
Yeah, we drove to North Broward.
Colleges.
Yes. It was 3 of us. Who I don't even.
It was me, Tiani, and Nina, and you.
Okay, that's okay.
And so we drove up, that was my first experience with a scholarship fair. So you were applying for scholarships to be notified on the spot if you got them or not. Mm-hmm. And so that was also very stressful because it's like you needed to have your resume, everything already there with you because you were sending it out rapidly to colleges that were just there. And they were letting you know. Remember, I got a full ride to Talladega and a few other schools, they let me know on spot. I was
that was the
secure.
first live video.
Yeah.
You're right.
It was sideways too.
So it was senior year was as much fun as it was a lot of work, but it definitely prepared me for the first year of college. And I wouldn't take away any of the stress of the senior year because I feel like now as a college student, I'm much more prepared, or I was much more prepared to endure the new, surroundings, the new area, everything, and even the types of classes. Because I took those AP classes, college classes, the switch wasn't that difficult for me. So I think my senior year was great. I think I finished pretty strong, and I was able to sow those seeds, to allow for college and finishing college to be a goal of mine that I can now complete.
Yeah, so that was, I remember in that transition, there were some moments where you had a lot, like you said, you were president, you had a whole bunch going on, and you had to figure out, okay, what am I dedicating time to right now? How has that helped you with time management in college? Like you were talking about, it prepared you, but how did that specifically help you with your time management in college? Because you're actually, so I gotta make sure she talks about and brags on herself enough. So when she says she's an artist, this means that she is a published artist who can get royalties off of Spotify, Apple, all those digital outlets. You can go check out. So make sure you give us the title of your single that's out there and let you know. So when she says she's an artist, she's a working artist that can collect checks.
Yes, she's working right now as we speak. I actually also own a music production company. I co-own a music production company that makes music for other people to release. So you can search me on any of the streaming platforms. My name is Tamiah, Tamieyah. I'm on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, all of that stuff. So you guys can check out the work that I do. And that's, definitely been a lot of my time here at FAMU. I'm a music student. So my days consist of, making music, creating music, learning about music. And I'm actually a part of a music organization, Sigma Alpha Iota International Music Fraternity. So my time is always consumed. I'm also a cast member of the FAMU Connection. So I've been on tours with the school. I'm always on the road. I'm in concert choir. So when I tell you I'm on the road literally every weekend, I'm on the road every weekend. And I have to maintain my grades. I have to, make sure I'm still present in class. So all the things that I was doing in high school helped me to be prepared for this moment, because now I'm actually an active participant in my career. I'm, traveling and singing and doing the things that I like to do, but I'm also a full-time student. And by full-time, I mean, for the most of my college experience, I was taking 18 credit hours a semester, which is way more than what you need to be considered a full-time student, because you only need 12. So taking 18 full credit hours, as well as being a major part of organizations, a full-time artist, performing and doing things like that. So the time management skills that I learned definitely helped me to make good decisions while I've been here at FAMU.
Yeah. So one of the things she told me that I was really impressed about was she's like, I didn't even go to any parties. Like my freshman year is over and I didn't even make it to a party.
I didn't.
I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I know that was a realization, like, oh my God, I didn't make it to a party. But it has, one of the things is I listened to that single when it came out, and I heard I always joke that they're my babies, and I didn't know them when they were like toddlers, but Tiara told me we're not babies, and I was like, you're always my babies. But when I heard her music, I had to then relate to the young lady Tamia. And I remember I met somebody she was dating, and her mom was like, did you introduce him to Miss Tandy? Because she gonna have something to say.
Definitely.
But it was a beautiful journey for me to sit there and listen to, like, to make that transition, to really be like, she's a full-grown young lady right now, and listen to her music. So that was a beautiful moment for me. And then I want to make sure, so we talked about your music, we talked about you sampled your grades, we talked about being the first, and what is it like having younger sisters? Because sometimes I'm talking to your sisters and they'll allude to the fact that you called back home and you're in a way kind of second parent, like you're reminding them and mentoring them. Let me say that. You're reminding and mentoring them of what they need to be doing to get to where you are.
I think being the oldest naturally, my brother even calls me his second mommy. So, I've always had to be a leader in that sense. And when I went off to college, I wanted to inspire my sisters to chase after their dreams, even if, they weren't the same as mine. So when my sister, as much as I wanted her to come to FAMU, she had her heart set on going to Howard. So, I think me being the older sister, I've always just wanted to support my siblings. And now my little sister is talking about going to FAMU, and I will make sure she gets there. So, it's being the oldest and, having them to look at me has pushed me and made me want to work even harder to finish and to complete my goals and my tasks for my life. And it makes me even more proud to see the things that they do. Like when my sister went off to Howard, I know I didn't have the courage to go that far. I really don't even have the courage to go this far to Tallahassee because, I always want to go home. But, to see that she has, developed her own sense of who she is. She has her own, she does hair on campus. She's popping. My sister does, we both are good in the areas that we are at. And so, for me, that made me just have a really proud sister moment. And my youngest sister is now a junior, about to be a junior in high school. So for me, from changing their diapers and now, my sisters, and one is in college and the other one will be in college as soon as I blink, it just really has made me so proud to be their sister. And it makes me even prouder that they can watch me and do even better than the things that I did. Like, of course, I was one of your first students ever, but they saw me and they were able to do better and exceed the things that I was able to do. And I think if I can't do that, I'm not a good big sister. So I think I've done pretty well.
I think you have to. I think you've done an excellent job. It's just always nice for me when I'm talking to them and they'll have that moment. Yeah, I talked to Tamia about that. So we're gonna work on this or whatnot. It's always nice to hear that and like see that even though you're in Tallahassee, you all are still really tightly connected. And
Yeah, like when Tamara was putting in, she was doing her essays and stuff. You know, I already had essays. I knew how to do those things. I knew how to apply for, you know, like Greek organization scholarships or, you know, how to apply for scholarships in general. So whenever she had a question, you know, I had you to help me out with those things. But even if she couldn't reach you, you know, I was able to help her edit the essay. You know, maybe you should say this instead, or maybe you should do this. Maybe you should add this. And I think that helped her even to get, you know, scholarship money too. So it's a beautiful experience when you have a sister that's already been through the fire, so she can kind of help you not get burned as bad, you know?
Right. And you brought up something about, so you said the essays and everything. I think the other thing I want to make sure I touch on is I remember when we first started talking about college, Lisa, and she was talking about doing more creative stuff than like the traditional stuff that our parents was like, you need to go to school where you can make some money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And but in the end, we ended up going with music business. So we were like, okay, she can do the music, she can do what she's great at, but she can also make sure there's money to be made in that as well. So how was that for you as the teen? And then I'm gonna ask you, Lisa, how was that for you as a parent to make that shift? Because I know that was actually a shift in our conversations when you decided you wanted to do music, and we're like, okay, we gotta have, how are we gonna make sure she has something to fall back on that pays, you know, the real bills like the rent and all this stuff?
Well,
Yeah, so
initially,
how was that for you?
I wanted to go to school for law, or I didn't want to go to school for law. I was going to go to school for law because, you know, that was just the plan. That was always the course of action for me after high school. We started, and then I decided, you know, later into my senior year, I wanted to go for music. But then we started, you know, thinking about things logistically and thinking about what would my life be like after college. And so, you know, it all worked out so perfectly for me because I found a program that incorporated business as well as music. So while I do have to do classes that involve vocal technique and vocal training and things like that, I also have, you know, classes that I learn like accounting and things like that. So those things are always like important for me. And I found a school that actually had that major for me. Everybody doesn't have that capability. We were looking all over the country for a school that had a music business program, and all of them didn't have it. So I just was lucky enough to find a school that I got money. I got enough money to go to school. I got the perfect major, and then I got the perfect location so that I didn't have to go too far. So that was just perfect for me.
So I remember that. Lisa, how was that for you? Because when she said music, and I remember looking at you like, no, and I was like, Tamia, I don't know, you like, she can minor in music.
Right. Well, you know.
And then I was like, she really wants to do it. How can we do this?
She needs to be able to support herself financially. And me knowing that music is hit or miss. Maybe you'll be big, maybe you won't. So maybe you won't. In that instance, there needs to be some type of backup plan. And so we've had to learn to trust God in everything, even in our kids' selecting of careers and things like that, because eventually God will lead her down the path that she's supposed to go in. But as a concerned parent, I'm also thinking I want to be able to allow her to live her life, live her dream, but also on the flip side of the coin, say, hey, Tamia, maybe you ought to consider doing that 1-year MBA. Maybe you ought to consider another path afterwards. And we're still discussing those things. We're still trying to figure those things out. But I do know this, that she's very gifted. She's a great artist. And so something will come up for her. But at the same token, I've got to let her spread her wings and fly, so to speak. And that's why she has a job now, because she needs to understand the reality of what she chose is you may do well in it. And if you, the question I asked her is, would you do this? If you're passionate about this, would you do this if the money is not there? Would you do this if there's no opportunity? And her answer to me was, Mommy, yes, I would still do it. So in that instance, I'm just all there to be a support for her.
Yeah. So it was beautiful because I remember at that moment, I was like, well, we got to find something. We got to figure out how to bring these things together. And it just happened like she said, that it was the perfect school, the perfect location. She still got to stay in state because she didn't want to go far away. And then she had her scholarships.
That's right.
The other thing is Tamia has scholarship money from her scholarship is one of those that we piece money together from multiple places.
That's
and she's
right.
had to advocate to have her full ride and make sure that she's gotten her due based on her talent, her skills, and her her academic side too. So in choir, this is one of the things I want to let you guys know. Sometimes when students come in as freshmen, there may be 2 or 3, 4 levels of scholarship for like dance, choir, band, all of those things. And you have to advocate and you have to put in the work. You can't get to college and get lazy about your craft. If you get money for these things, you actually need to up your game so that you can get more money. So Tamia, I know you got to head out soon, but if you could just speak to that and then also share why would Project 100 Full Rides be the way to go if a student is headed to college?
Well, for me, since my scholarship, I have a few different scholarships. I have an academic from the university, and then I also have a music scholarship, which required me to bring my best pieces and perform them and sight read and show them that I actually am deserving of this money. And so when I did that, it was very stressful, very nerve-wracking. However, I started with a level 2. After my first full year, I actually got upgraded because of my hard work, and my scholarship actually got raised as well. So it's really a testament to how hard you're willing to work for whatever money it is that you need. There's so much money out there. And I remember Miss Tandy telling me that there's so much money out there. They got scholarships, people that write with their left hand. They got scholarships, people with one eye. They got scholarships for everybody. You just have to look for the things that apply to you and even the things that don't, because if nobody applies for it, you can still get the money. And so that's a very important thing. I think any parent that wants to see their child be successful in college, or any child that wants to see any parent that wants to see their child successful in high school should join Miss Tandy's program, because the proof is there. Once you take the test, the proof is there. Once you actually, get accepted and you start to see, I'm in college now, and all these things that I was doing in high school have actually helped me, get to this point. You're looking at a whole different person by the time you get to college, just because of a person that tutored you in math. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never thought that these lessons would be so important in every other aspect of my life from a math tutor. Like, me learning y equals mx plus b has really changed my course of thinking, my appreciation for teachers and my appreciation for resources, and really my hunger for success, because now I know that there's nothing that I can't do if I put my mind to it. And I have trained myself to think this way, because those are the things that I learned during this program. Those are the things that I was taught. If, of course, it may look different. It may be solving a math problem, but the things that you actually learn, the like, you're not actively thinking about it. The subconscious things that you learn, they stick with you forever. And so I'm one of the first people, and I'm living proof of the fact that when you go through this program, you're gonna come out a different person, and a much better person at that. So for any parent, any student that's looking to find resources, or even apply for scholarships, if you don't ask for the help, it's not going to be given to you. So if you take this opportunity to actually go through this program, of course, she's going to be on you like white on rice. It's not going to be no cakewalk. You have assignments that you have to do. You have prep you have to do to pass these tests. But in the end, it is more than worth it. When you look at the money, like, I have not had to pay but maybe $500 for tuition or anything for the past 3.5 years. And for me, that's amazing, because my parents were able to help me out with that. But that just showed that everything that you do, it will be everything that you sow at this moment, it will be reaped. Like, you will reap those benefits. And I have reaped every last one of them. I'm about to graduate, and I will be debt free. Debt free.
Woo!
Yes. Amen to that.
Amen and amen. Let the church say amen. But I love what you said about being a different person, because that's hard you articulated that so well for me. It's hard for me to explain to parents. I know they want their kids to go debt free, but it requires a different version of their kid that exists at the moment that they sign up for the program to get there. And then the other thing is we're so focused on the whole getting ready for college thing that I mention it every so often, but 100% of you guys are in college or graduating. And that's hard to find. That's hard to find. 100% of the students, it's one thing for 100% to get accepted to college. It's a whole nother thing for 100% to go to college. And then for them to actually graduate successfully and having experience in their careers. Because I can also say for the most part, everybody that comes to our program, not because I tell you guys about some of these things, but you guys have the mindset to, Ms. Tandy said, when I get on campus, go connect with these people, go find this tribe, go do that. You all have the mindset to actually do it. So you come out with experience, real life experience and whatever you're going after. So we're gonna let you get off to work. I appreciate your time.
Working hard. Go listen to the music if you're able to. Tamia is the name. Thank you, Miss Tandy, for this opportunity. Just thank you for coaching me in my life, period. I just so appreciative. And I know my sisters are as well, and my mother too. So I just thank you again for everything that you've done for me and my family. And I'll let you know when graduation is so you can come on up.
No, I'm gonna be ready.
December.
Yes, ma'am. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Okay. One down. We got 2 more to go, plus mom. So Tamara, you going next?
Yes.
Or Tiara? Yes. Mom says yes. So tell us a little bit about yourself in this first college year experience.
Well, let me start by saying, yes, I go to Howard. I'm going to do my Howard intro. Hi, I'm Tamara Johnson, a rising sophomore business marketing major from Miami, Florida, by way of Dallas, Texas. And this year, it really wasn't that difficult for me. I know that my path was different from Tamia's because she went to FAMU, where she got a full ride, and my story was a little bit different because I had some issues my senior year as it involved the SAT. So I didn't have as much money as she did, but I did have a lot more scholarships from Miss Tandy. Mm-hmm. So her going to FAMU, my mom was like, you need to go to FAMU, because that's where the money was at, because I had Florida Bright. And if you know anything about Howard is a private school, so you don't have the Florida Bright. And then the money is a lot more because it is a private school as well as opposed to going to a public school. Mm-hmm. So my mom was really like, if you don't get money, then you can't go to Howard. But my goal for myself was Howard. I knew in my heart that FAM was my sister's path, Howard was mine. So I had to do whatever it was that I had to do to get money. And I really had to work hard with Miss Tandy as it involved the scholarships and my SAT prep.
Awesome. Yeah, Tamara was hardcore for Howard. We were going back and forth because if she had gone to FAMU with her sister, she literally had overflow. If she had chosen FAMU. And she had gotten so much money. I remember calling Tamara and I was like, Tamara, we've talked about like when she gets the acceptances, right? And stuff, but I'm like, Tamara, where's the list? Like about all the colleges we applied to, like tell me where we are with all of them. She's like, oh, I got into all of them and got scholarships from. I'm like, when are you gonna tell me that?
Yeah, she got money she would have gotten money from Florida A&M. She got money for Hampton.
Clark. I got a full ride, I think, to Dillard.
Dillard gave her money, yeah.
I got into every college.
Every school offered her money, like a lot of money, and she turned it all down because she was like, I know where I'm supposed to go. I'm supposed to go to Howard. And that was the option that had the least amount of financial support. So, we had
initially I got a $9,000 scholarship where Howard is a $45,000 school every year.
Yeah.
So we were like,
so talk about how we went from the 9,000 because I was like, okay, I remember either texting or calling Lisa and saying, she's not really playing with us about going to Howard. No. You better figure out. She doesn't care that she has overflow at other schools. None of this is mattering to this kid.
It didn't matter.
It did not faze her one bit. And that's why she wasn't telling me about all the money as it was rolling in on the other side, because she's like, no, I'm gonna stay focused, and they're gonna stay focused with me.
Yeah.
So she's like, no, I'm definitely going to Howard. And I remember us talking, and you were like, okay. So, and we talked about a plan. So, how did she get her other money for Howard? Because she does have her tuition fully covered from the school now.
She does.
But
So
initially,
what happened was when I found out I got into Howard, I was really, really excited. So my mom and I decided to go tour the school. And when I had first got my acceptance to Howard, they also gave me the $9,000 scholarship with my packet. And so when I went up there, we talked to the people about financial aid. So we saw if there was like a mistake in the FAFSA, because I did the FAFSA like the first day it came out. So I was like, I'm trying to get the most money as I can. And they were like, nope, your parents make too much. So this is the amount of money that you're gonna owe. It was, I think, our expected family contribution, the EFC, $42,009. And I was like, there's no way that I can pay that. So we toured the school, and we also toured Hampton, and I knew from then, I was like, Howard. It wasn't just, okay, it's a thought of Howard. It was me, I'm going to be at Howard, so I'm going to do whatever it took. And then I think a couple months later, maybe in February or March, I got another scholarship, another $9,000. So I got roughly about $18,000 from a leadership scholarship. And that was because of when I put in my application, all like my achievements. So from me being the Kuda Stomp captain at my school, the chapter president for the Florida Public Service Association, and all these other accolades that I had, I was able to talk about it in my essay, and I was able to get more money from a leadership scholarship. So it doubled, and that tremendously helped me so that I wouldn't have to pay as much money. And then I had other scholarships as well.
From sororities and things like that.
Yeah. And then she had, I remember we talked about, because business school required a separate essay. And I was like, if you're going to get in there and they're going to offer you anything, we have, like, this is the moment that they're going to see something different. And so right before we got on, you were talking about the essay. So tell them a little bit about how the essay process went for you, and what you found really helpful in that process.
So with the essay process, it was really about, the first essay was basically asking about, like, how do you resolve a conflict, or how do you come out on the bright side? And we were able to pick things from my experiences. And Miss Tandy she was very present in those times where my dad had become the pastor. So I had to talk about a lot of the things that I struggled with. And then as far as it related to the business, I was like, okay, I don't really know what major I want to be in business, but I know that Howard has a really great business program, and I want to be a business major of some sort, because when I come out of it, I wanted to be an entrepreneur of some sort. It really didn't matter. So I chose marketing. And with marketing, I had to kind of really research, okay, what is marketing? How is that going to apply to the person I am? And you also, when you're choosing your major, you have to be very vigilant on what it is that the type of person that you are, and the things that you're going to do. Because I know I'm not boring, and not other majors are boring, but I knew I could not be a finance major. I knew I could not be an accounting. I couldn't do it. I just can't sit there and do that stuff all day. So I had to choose what was right for me, do the research, and then I wrote my essay, and she helped me, Ms. Tandy helped me to pick things up, fix the essay and make it better, so that when Howard actually saw my essay, they were really impressed, and I got into the business program. And the business program is very difficult to get into Howard. So if you got in, it's a high accolade.
So I remember a moment, and I don't even know that we told your mom about this, because I was like, I don't bring up that negativity, but we were at a scholarship fair, and the lady, so she was trying to redirect you basically. She's like, with your SAT score right now and everything, business is a competitive major. I don't know, you should consider something else, blah, 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 right? Do you remember that moment? And I like, because you know how I am. I probably had that face on. When we were at Barry University at the college fair, and she was like, as competitive based on your scores right now, I wouldn't say that you're going to be the type of student that can get in. And so that's an encouragement. I immediately was like, I had to take the group away from that situation. And this is a lesson for you all as parents. I had to take the group away from that situation and have a whole conversation before we walked to any other tables or did anything else, because I'm not going to let somebody pour into my students something that I don't believe for them, and that I know that they're capable. I know what they're capable of. I'm not going to tell you they're capable of something they're not, but I knew that she was very capable in business. And we had talked about a whole bunch of stuff when marketing came up, and I said, Tamara, I think you could do marketing. And I had to give her the scenarios, like, this is where I see you could probably do marketing. This is where it might make sense for you. And initially we were even talking about nonprofit stuff because she is naturally a service community oriented leader when we were talking about marketing. But now that she's in it, tell them, because you're on your hustle. You got your own little side hustles going.
Yes.
You halfway a model when I see the pictures that get back. So tell them about what you picked up in the way of, we started working on something, and then Tiara's laughing because she know we got to get working on her coins too. But tell them a little bit about what you're doing on the side to make money at Howard as a college student.
Well, like you said, I am doing hair. That takes up a lot of time, but I make good money from it. I really didn't have to even ask my parents for that much money off the side. So that was a blessing for me to learn how to do that. And I just also had to learn how to be self-taught with everything. So when it came to my eyebrows or my hair, anything, I had to learn basically how to do that for myself to save money.
Yeah. Awesome. And let me see. So you're at Howard. What if any transitions? It was very interesting. Usually, like, I didn't hear anything. It was like, she's living her best life at Howard. And then Tiara was on the side like, yeah, she's living her best life at Howard without us, without me.
Well, I will say the type of person that I am, I do not need to be around my parents 24/7. I felt like I needed to go far for me to succeed. I knew that Florida was too close. No matter if it was Tallahassee, Jacksonville, whatever, I said I had to go. And my parents can even tell you, I was perfectly fine. I even stayed Thanksgiving there by myself, and I was perfectly fine. I call in when I need to call in. So the missing home wasn't really something that I struggle with. I didn't even struggle with my academics because I made the dean's list for business. And I will say that, yes, and I will say that everything that I did in high school, it basically prepared me how to balance out my schedule, how to balance out my life. It helped me with my GPA and doing everything I wanted to, because, like, to me, it didn't get to party. I partied, but I made sure that my GPA was in tip-top shape as well. So I balanced it out. I learned how to do both.
Yeah. And that was something we worked on with you, though. I remember Lisa and I would strategically have conversations, and then we come back to you and like, okay, Tamara, this is how much time it's going to take. This is how much you're doing right now. We don't see how the two things don't work. So what are we doing? What are we taking away? What are we keeping for this moment in time? And we had to shift her responsibilities around, but that paid off big time at college. Like, that transition was seamless. And I remember when we first said that she was gonna have to stop doing something, she was like giving us the side eye a little bit.
Yeah, I remember because
she was not happy about that.
Tamia was the captain for color guard, and her senior year she had to stop because my mom was like, you need to focus on school and all that stuff. And so for me, I was like, no, I'm still gonna do coup de stomp. I'm still gonna serve and give myself to that, but I'm also going to make sure that I have a good GPA. I'm going to stay on top of my APs. I'm going to make sure that I have all my college stuff prepared. I did scholarships. I was in the office. I was an office aide, and every morning I was in that office talking to the administrators and advisors. I was doing my essays. I was getting everything done in that
part. I forgot that we did that for you. I remember because she is very strong-willed, and I for me, that's not a problem. It's how we're going to direct that energy to make sure everything gets done that we're trying to accomplish. And I remember saying, so where are you going to give, you got to figure out how we're going to do this break. I'm like, when you go in there, you're going to talk to them like every day. They're going to be sick of you.
They knew me. They knew me by name.
Think of you.
All of them knew me by name. Mm-hmm. I was in there every day.
In other words, she had found a voice, and she did really well. I didn't have to tell her much at all. I mean, she did what she needed to do, and she would let me know after the fact, Mommy, I did this, and this. I'm waiting on this, and this. And so she was very easy. I didn't do much.
Okay. All she had to do was fill off my scholarship.
That was it.
Yeah. And that was good too, because I remember saying, so did you ask your mom for help with, because sometimes I would talk to her and she was just really stressed about wanting to own the whole process and I'm gonna take care of this. And I would say, but did you ask your mom? Because I think your mom can handle this part of this or whatever. And she eventually learned how to use all of her resources. I think that was something else you had to grow into, because you felt like asking for help sometimes meant I'm not smart enough or good enough at this. But she figured out that asking for help meant that she got to keep doing all her stuff like she wanted to. So I loved watching that transformation as well. So SAT, before we got on the call, you guys had the SAT story about how that went and what the outcome was. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So my SAT story is very unique. I didn't actually start doing SAT prep with you, I don't think. Well, we did minor SAT prep and tutoring, but it was mainly math. My mom had bought me, or she had purchased a tutor for me. So every Saturday they would come, we would work on things, and she spent about $3,000 on it. And for me personally, it just did not help. I stayed at like a 1050, 1080, like basically my whole junior year. Mm-hmm. And I'm crying. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go anywhere. I'm not going to get any money. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be able to have any opportunities, because the SAT, if I don't have a good SAT score, then that's just, I can't do anything. And so then I remember when I was in Texas for Christmas break, and I had reached out to you, and you had came over to my grandma's house, and we were doing some work, and we were practicing, and I felt so much better because our relationship was one-on-one, whereas like the SAT, it was like, okay, we come in, you read a passage, you do the answers. After that, we talk about what's wrong and how you can improve. But every week I wasn't improving, and my heart just wasn't in it. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And so it was basically a $3,000 gone to waste, because it didn't help me in any way. And so then when I started doing it with you, my score, it was still slow, because I kept feeling like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't a good test taker. And so every time I would go into my test, I was like, no, I'm not gonna be able to do it. I can't get this grade or this test score. And so I was stood at like an 1100-ish when I was working with you. But then there was one time after my Howard application was done, I had got to a 1220, and I was really, really happy, because I was working. I was like, I gotta get something. Even if it wasn't for my applications, I had to prove it to myself that I could get some kind of score that I at least saw as decent. And so I was able to do that. But it wasn't because of the SAT prep that my mom had paid for. It was because I had that one-on-one experience with you, where you taught me techniques instead of having to, this is right, this is wrong. When you go into that test, if you feel like you don't have enough time on the reading, and you knew I was a slow reader, you hit this first, you hit the vocab, you hit things that you don't really need to, read the passage for. So when you get there, and also look at the question. So when you're reading the passages, okay, underline, this is going to be important. So let me just go ahead and make sure I remember that, or go back to that. So, yeah, the strategies that you taught me really helped me on the SAT.
Yeah, I would, and it was interesting, and it was a lesson for me. So I'm very transparent and open. So because at the point that Tamara first came in, I think, when did you graduate? 2018 or 2019? 19. So we're talking about 2017, guys, when we were like starting this college coaching and prep journey. And when Lisa told me she had gotten an SAT tutor, what I didn't want to do is stress Tamara out by saying, you're going to do SAT prep with both of us. And so I said, okay, Tamara, let's just do a little bit of reading. So we kept doing like a reading passage here or there. We're working on her speed on the side, but I didn't want to stress her with the math and hearing those two different voices, right? And then there's a point over the summer where you were like, can you just come? Can you come? Tamara wants you, because we had did that December, and I think you had finally just said to your mom, I'm doing all this with these tutors, but really Miss Sandy is what I need. And I remember Lisa said, can you just come with her before she takes this next test? And spend just time with just her. Yeah, just spend time with her. And I think when I came, I didn't let everybody know I'm out of myself completely. That was her weekend. That was like her weekend.
Every day I literally go to the library, get that quiet room, and work.
Yeah, that was her weekend. And I think that made a difference. So sometimes your kid, when they ask you for something very specific like that, I knew that was a turning point for her because she was making a decision that I need this level of support. And if I get it, I'm gonna get where I need to go. And so at that point, I think you hit the high 1100s, but we knew that for Florida Bright Futures, the next level of scholarship at that point was that 1220 point. And we were looking to get there. And she said, can I take the test again? And me and Leaf's like, you ain't take test again. We got to admit it. We got money. She was like, no, I need to prove that I perform at this level. Like I can get this score. I can hit where I need to hit. So that was really important.
And I remember because I really had to prove it to myself because at that point, Howard wasn't accepting any more SAT scores. So there was, that meant the money that I had, that was the money that I was going to get from them. And so now because of that, my scholarship was going to go up because of that 1220. But before I wasn't going to get any more money. I had to prove it to myself that I could take that test and get a decent score.
Yeah. And then as a mom, Lisa, I remember how she got that score and we did some other stuff and we did a letter. Did they give her a couple more $1,000 in the spring after she got the leadership? Because we did a couple more negotiation things.
No,
that was it for her. Okay. That was it with them. Okay.
And the thing about business, where she is, their business program, there are no scholarships. So the scholarships at Howard come from STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, not business.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah, because I kept trying to get her to add on finance. So she said no.
But you know what? No, I'm glad you did that because there are other ways for students to benefit financially. Like now, we're praying that she will get this RA position because the money that we're lacking is just the room and board, and that will cover, you know, the majority of that fee. So if she's once she does that, she will pretty much have a full ride.
Yeah. And we talked about that. It was like, okay, this first year, we all, and it's being in partnership with each other and having those conversations because she was adamant. I said, okay, tuition is covered now. You have these outside scholarships that are going to help you first year. So you're going to have a little bit of a gap. And she said, I'll get a job. She's like, I'll do whatever I need to do. Yeah. And you guys agreed to help. And you're like, but by year 2, you better have this figured out. And I said, okay. So she needs to be an RA, which means she needed to network once she hit that campus to build a relationship to be able to do that.
And I became a part of the junior residential assistant program, which means you basically get to network with the RAs, the hall managers, the GAs, everyone who's in the office of Res Life. And you basically get to make your presence known. So when you go into the interviews, they also teach you how to like write reports and do all these other things. So when you go into the interviews, you know how to speak, you know what you're doing, you know how to plan programs. And so you're basically at an advantage over other people.
Yeah. And so I'm glad you jumped in and said, okay, I remember what I'm supposed to be doing when I get here. Because sometimes you get to college, you're like, I forgot all this stuff, but you knew that was important and you jumped in with that. The other thing I definitely want to highlight. So I called Tamara, and this is one of the things I would say is a benefit to your kid. I'm an entrepreneur. So if they're in any way interested in business and entrepreneurship, I share my journey with them as an entrepreneur as is happening. So I called Tamara and said, I'm going on Shark Tank. I need your feedback. Like, what would you say needs to happen with this app that I'm building out? What would you say I need to make sure they know I have the capability of doing for Shark Tank? And she got to have her input in on that. So that's something, even though it's a small line, a blip, when she goes out, I make sure I give these students opportunities. I have a student that graduated and she's written copy for my popcorn company. She's written copy for College Mode. Like, I'm always looking for how can I make sure they're best positioned, and I even help them have stuff to put on their resume. But you are with you were sponsored by a Fortune 500, might be Fortune 100 company. So tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in the business program, freshmen have to take this class called business orientation. And basically you're put into groups and you're given a Fortune 500 company. And my sponsor this year was AT&T. So I was able to have a dinner with them, connect with some of their members, and basically have like one-on-one experience with my sponsor. And that's really beneficial when it comes to getting
Internships.
getting internships and getting like permanent jobs with these people, because I'm able to make an early on impression with them, and I'm able to make a connection with them as well.
Yeah, I'm a little bit sad. I started thinking because we had talked about like going in for the interviews to do internships, and then Corona happened.
Yeah.
Messed up our internships for the summer, but I got something for you. We have to talk after this. I got, I always got something in the cut for y'all. All right. Anything else you want to tell them before we move on to Tiara?
I would just want to say that to really get with this program and take it serious, because it is going to be beneficial in your life. I saw the change in just a few months. So I know that once you get into the program, when you come in full head on, no slacking. You gotta be about your business. Just as she's here to help you, you gotta help yourself. So if you want it that bad, I would definitely encourage you to seek this program. It's it greatly benefited me, my sister, my family. So I would just say, if you're serious about what it is that you're wanting to do, whether it be like improving your SAT, getting into college, whatever you want to do, you need to do this program, but you need to come in with that mindset. I'm ready to work and I'm ready to get this money, because at the end of the day, Miss Tandy can do all she can do to help you, but you have to want it for yourself.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen. That's a good point, because I remember texting and I'm like, what else do you need? Because I know you need to go to sleep, but what else do you need?
I remember because you would text me with all these scholarships and all these things, and you can text me with these scholarships, but you have to want to do it for yourself. So I remember when you were texting me scholarships, I was sending them out and I was doing them. So you have to, she's going to do everything that she can to help you, but you got to help yourself.
Yeah. And the other thing you mentioned right before we got on was you had your essays down. You understood how to pull them out and tweak them. We had set you up for success, and you had set yourself up for success. So basically, if your mom needed to pull paperwork together for you and get it in the envelope, she was able to do it because you had organized the way we talked about organizing everything. So if you needed that extra support, even Tiara, we didn't ask Tiara, bless her heart, but she could have, because you had everything so organized. All right, awesome. Tiara, the rising star. We still, you know what? I have to change the title on Facebook. I just had an aha moment. It's 2 down and 2 more to go. But justice, we ain't there yet. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. So Tiara, you are the rising star. You get me all to yourself finally.
Yes.
Because Tiara was like, when Miss Tandy gonna come help me? When I'm gonna get to do Miss Tandy? And Tiara asked me one day, she's like, can we just be like our auntie? And I'm like, I'll like bring popcorn. I do all the auntie stuff already too. But yeah, so Tiara, tell a little bit, because it was a transition, because I was your math tutor. And that's all I initially with the family, that's all I did is come in and tell crazy stories about my day at work.
And
Killian. Basically, that's what happened. And then I transitioned to Dallas, and I remember also hearing a story. Your dad wasn't aware, because I went back and forth between Dallas and Miami a lot, but it was mostly family. I wasn't working in between a lot initially. And somebody needed some help. One of the girls needed help. And your dad was like, what is the problem? Why haven't y'all just called Tandy for help? And he realized that I wasn't physically in the space, and I had not set up all my virtual space. So now Tiara and I's relationship is a little different, because almost from I think the whole time you've been in high school, I've been living in Dallas and commuting and coming to help. So tell about your experience so far in the program, because you started as a freshman. As soon as she went off to college, we jumped in with her.
Well, for me, it's different because Miss Tandy knows the type of student I am. So we started early, and the program for me is easier because she makes sure she focuses on your weaknesses. Yeah. And she knows for me, math is not my friend. So we focus a lot on math, but since we have like more time than my other 2 sisters, we don't go at such a fast pace. Right. But the program is really good for kids that need They need to build up their strengths in certain
Confidence.
areas. And also, like, if you want to get your SAT scores up, that's what we're currently working on right now. This summer, we're going to be doing a lot more SAT practices. But yeah, the program for me right now is going really well. We focus on what I have to do to make myself.
That part. So for Tiara, because sometimes people like, well, why would I start now? Like college is senior year or whatnot. But Tiara and I have worked on who she is as a learner. We've come up with entrepreneur, products for her to sell. Don't start selling them. But she's in the lab. Let's say that she's in the lab. She's gotten her materials and she's playing around at home with the products that she's creating to sell. But we've worked on her as a student and as a person. So Tiara has had the opportunity now this school year. She can tell you exactly, this is what I need to study. She hits a hard stretch in junior, senior year. She knows exactly how to study and overcome that. Coming in so early helped her figure that out. There was a point at the beginning of this year where we were like, okay, where are you struggling a little bit? And we talked about it and we met every week for 4 weeks until it clicked. Like, this is what I need. This is a plan and strategy I need to use in each class. And that really helps with her GPA. And so she's been able to maintain the GPA she wants because of having that additional academic support. We've looked at colleges just a little bit. We've been to, have you done a college fair with me yet?
Not yet.
We actually, because Tamia was in Connections at FAMU. They had a college fair in Orlando and it was amazing. Every college was there and she got a chance to talk to the business department about business college, like about what they do. And she's like, I'm going to FAMU. Now
so that's what happened, because we were talking about Prairie View, FAMU, and one other school at the beginning of this school year. There were actually 3 in the game. Okay, it was Prairie, So she was looking at her legacy options. She was looking at her legacy options. So it was a little different for you. So now you know you're going to FAMU business. You sold?
Yes.
We know? Okay. So at this point, what'll happen for Tiara, and you guys get to see me do this live. I'm gonna do something I don't ever do, but I'm gonna do it live so you can understand how this works. So she just told me she wants to go to FAMU. What'll happen next is we will look at FAMU's requirements. And before we got on this live, I told her, I said, FAMU just changed the requirements. You're gonna have to do the SAT writing. They increased everything a lot. All the requirements went up. They're almost right up there with Howard with the SAT requirements.
Right underneath
all that. Yeah. And so they're asking for the SAT writing. Howard's not even asking for the SAT writing. So that means she has to be competitive with Florida Wright Futures, because Florida has money for her, either 75% of her tuition or 100% of her tuition with a small stipend that she can get based on her SAT scores and her test scores and her community service. Right now, I think you're at about 500 to 600 hours in service, Kiara. Did you count it? Yeah. So
500 probably.
500. Okay. So one thing is, I know who she is. She's a leader. She's a kid that's a leader, but she's an influencer. She's not out front like her 2 sisters.
No, she's a little bit more.
I have to know that. Yeah, I have to know that about the students. So one of the reasons why we're looking at entrepreneurship as her wow factor is because I know that she's more introverted, but she's a thought leader and she's about that business of selling something when she wants to sell you on something, right, Lisa? When she gets in her head that she wants something, she can sell it to you. Even time I've seen her get with her sisters and convince them when she wants something, she's about that business. So we'll be focusing on FAMU's requirements and hitting those every step of the way.
Let me say this about FAMU, and most people need to understand, most colleges, in order to get those scholarships, like your senior year, they need your application on file very, very early. They decide on scholarships in September and October. And most people, their senior year thinking, oh, it'll be after we come back from Christmas break. No. If you want that money, you have to apply very early, September.
Yeah. And I remember calling, because FAMU does have a little different requirement than even Howard had, right? FAMU, you have to be accepted by a certain date. You have to be admitted by a certain date to even be considered for their scholarships. So it's not about if you got the application into them. They don't care about that.
No.
And that was the issue for us with Tamia, because she applied, somebody came to her school and she applied on site at school, and you all gave the money order and they lost her stuff.
That's right. That's what happened to me.
And we had to, you had to track it down and go through all of that. And so some of those things are protected by FERPA, the Family Education Act. And so you as a parent, your kid may not be assertive enough to handle that, and you're gonna have to help them make that transition. But it's really important to note that, yes, FAMU, you have to be admitted by a certain date. So now when I tell people that the applications need to be done by Labor Day, they're like, what? I'm like, okay, sit around and wait if you want to, but I'm not gonna get my pressure up because I know what this looks like. I know what needs to happen for you to get this money. Yeah, very good. So what are you looking most, you've seen your two sisters go through this process. What are you looking forward to the most?
I just look forward to getting a good SAT score. Like, I want to work hard enough to make it to where I don't have to pay for school at all.
And you know what? Now the scoring, I believe, is 1,300 or 1,350. Like, it went from 1,190 in Florida to now 1,300. So that's a big jump.
It's the 1,300 for Florida Bright Future. And then I think FAMU adjusted to that as well because the state adjusted, right? And the other thing is you have to go on campus and confirm your scores. You have to go on campus that spring. Yeah. Tamia didn't have to do that, but now you have to go on campus and do this test called the ALEX test. That's the way they had it last year. And make a certain score and show that you're college ready, or they will rescind your scholarship. That's
right. You have to make a certain score on that one.
Yeah. So FAMU, you're going up there behind in your big sister's footsteps. You're looking forward to the SAT. What about your personal development, business, nonprofit, service? Like, what are you looking forward to doing in those areas?
Like, as in making my own products?
Yeah. Are you still, well, I don't want you to out what you're making because it's very unique. But are you looking forward towards making more or sticking with that one thing? Like, what are you seeing for yourself at this point?
I want to make those products, but I want to do more as well.
Okay.
In that whole area, like the whole hair area. Like, I want to make a lot of different hair products.
Okay, so she wants to do her own hair care product line. And so when students are focused like this, okay. So this song,
like kinkier hair types. Because a lot of girls, like my friends that have kinkier hair, products that I use do not work for them. And it's hard to find good hair products that do work for those type of hair types. So I want to make something that will help girls with that type of hair.
Awesome. So you see, she's building her story right now. I asked her that question on camera right now because I wanted you all to see she's building that story. And later on, when she's writing her essays, what am I going to do? I'm going to help her remember that that's part of her story so that she doesn't leave it out. Like I did with Tamara, there were some things that she wouldn't have told in her essays that were part of her story that she didn't realize were as important or as compelling. All right, so you're going to work on a hair care product line. So we're going to get that out. And actually, I need to put you with, my mentor is doing one for girls too. So I'm gonna put you with her because she helped me make my products that has to come out this summer too. So we're gonna get these products done. Quarantine gotta go because me and her gotta get in the lab on our products.
I got some things.
You got some things in the work too?
I do.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
So we.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Okay, we have to talk after this because I had a whole. Yeah, we have to talk. I'm not gonna make them out their products because I'm not gonna out mine 100% right now either. But Lisa, so tell us about, as a parent, you had the one to go away in the beginning. It was like we were prepping for college, as I was tutoring them, like we would talk about things about what classes they should take. Starting in middle school, we were having those conversations. But before I started college mode, we didn't have 100% of a strategy or plan for any one of them in place. So
Right.
tell me how that shifted for you, because you had me there as a tutor before, but then I started college mode and I was like, okay, this kid, we're going this route. This kid, and you were giving me, of course, the feedback as their mom of who they are, what your vision is for them. And then we also had to adjust because it's really the kid's journey, it's not ours.
That's right.
So speak to that a little
As a
bit.
parent, each parent has to know their child specifically, their strengths and their weaknesses. I know Tamia is a great test taker. The girl don't have to really study a whole lot, but she's a good test taker. This one is not a good test taker. This one is not a good test taker. So you got to know what they need specifically. And you've done a wonderful job on assessing them, finding out what they need specifically. So I thank you for that. But then as a parent, I have to know FAMU was just not for her. As much as I wanted it for her, as much as I'm thinking about cha-ching, she can get more money here, that was not her pathway. So being the type of parent that I am, I'm like, well, you got to make this happen. If this is what you want, you got to step out there and make it happen. And what did she do? She made it happen. This one, she's a little bit more introverted. She probably wants to be a little bit closer to us. So FAMU is a great option. But I know right now, I've been on this girl. How many questions have you done today to practice for your SAT? Log on to college mode, log on to those websites that can give you those practice questions. So, she has 2 years, but I'm already on top of this girl like white on rice, because I know that time comes and goes so quickly. You look up and it's like she's walking across the stage. And so Tiara's always been very intelligent. She's a gifted child, but that test taking strategy, that's the part, especially with math. And I've always told her, don't speak because I hate math. I don't like it, and this and that. Well, you're already setting yourself up in your mind that you're not good at something. So instead of saying I don't like it, say I may not like it, but I'm going to get the best information. I'm going to be the best I can be. Whatever I don't know, let me log in and let me practice. The only way to get better in math, and that's for any student, you have to do questions. You don't shy away from it. You do more than you need to do. If the teacher gave you 10 questions in that particular area, do 20. That's what it takes to be successful. So time, you got to invest the time, the energy, and the weaknesses. Build on your weaknesses. That's the only way you're going to get better. And the SAT is one of those tests I'm just speaking for African-American children. We are already at a disadvantage because they're reading, the passages are they don't connect with our culture. They don't connect with us. And when those kids are reading through those passages, they tune out. So I tell my kids, put yourself in the passage, put yourself in it so that you can feel, you can connect with it some type of way. So that's another thing I try to teach them, even though you don't like it, it's something you got to do. And with the math, that's universal. It doesn't change whether you're in Russia or China or wherever. Math is math. So do your best at it. And all the resources that are available, like I mentioned, when we were teenagers, I don't remember computer programs and things. They have everything at their disposal. They have their phones. They can log in with their phone. They have computers. They can log in with their computers. It's just them being disciplined enough to understand what they need for themselves, and us as parents, and with your program coming alongside the student to lift them up. That's it.
Yeah. And so you all will get to watch this with Tiara. I thought it was important to bring her on as a rising star because she hasn't made that shift. That if you've been watching this from the beginning of the week, I'm being very honest. She's a rising junior. She's been honest with you, and her mom is. She hasn't completely made that mindset shift about how to feel about math and all of that. Now, I will say this to her credit. She's made that shift in her math class.
Right, she has.
About who she is in her math class. And so for me, I knew you can try to push a big rock and use all your energy, or you can try to inch it along.
That's
try
it.
To inch it along.
That's it.
And so her mind, she needed a whole mindset shift about math. But that started with what is she doing every day? And so we needed her to believe that she could do the everyday math that she's doing. And at first she did not. We even talked about, like, is she in the right classroom environment? Like, we had to assess that situation with her. and assess how she was going to handle how she was being taught in that environment. But every time she's taken herself to a new level.
That's right.
Every single time she rose to the occasion. And so we know she's going to get there with SAT. She's just not there yet.
Right.
This summer we're gonna push. We're gonna get
this summer.
Get her.
I told her this is one of the most critical summers for her, because you don't wait till the next summer. This summer is where you grind. You gotta grind. Math, you need to be best friends with math. Eat, sleep, drink math, algebra, geometry, all of it, because that's what's coming up. Your junior year, you want to get the SAT behind you your junior year, the end of your junior year, so that when you get into that senior year, you're not stressing about SAT. That's already behind you. All you need to do is applications and scholarships. Bam, you're done.
So I'm believing that for her. And I know, like I said, she's rose to the occasion every time, but we had to shift her mindset about everyday math. Like, what can I do here? And she succeeded. What grade do you have in math right now?
An A.
Yeah. And I remember at the beginning of the year, she was like, I don't know, Miss Tandy. She's like, I know I can't go home with a C because that happened one time. And Jesus, I can't do that, Miss Tandy. We got to work this thing out.
Right. I'm like, there's no reason for a C when I'm investing in you. You have Miss Tandy, you have me, you have resources. So a C in this house is just not acceptable. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's like, one time I brought home a C from college and that didn't work. I mean, from just school in general. I don't even know if it was high school. But
Middle school.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, it was middle school. And she's like, I cannot do that. So we have to figure out this math, Miss Tandy. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. We'll figure it out. So then she jumped up.
She's doing much better.
Oh yeah, she is. But there was that moment where she recognized what your standard was. She recognized what resource she had, me, and she said, we gotta figure it out. And so it took us about 3 or 4 weeks. And then she had a couple other classes we were working on figuring out, but she has an A now. So those are the things you have to be willing to work with them as a parent. One thing I know about Lisa is she will sit at that table. Now, when you were working on your degree, you sit there and be studying. You would be on the sofa or at the table, and they would be doing their thing at the table too. Exactly. And so even if you weren't directly helping them at that moment in time, they knew you were right there ready to step in and help them if they needed it, right? And so sometimes the support, what I tell parents is sometimes we're so like, I haven't done that kind of math. I don't know about this new reading stuff. You're so fearful as a parent about what you don't know that you won't just sit down and give them the physical, emotional support right there at the table. And for the two of you, how does that help you? The fact that your mom will sit there, even if she's not, because one of you told me, my mom didn't know how to do, y'all snitched on your mom, telling she didn't know how to do something. Call me, telling me your mama didn't know how to do something. But how does that help you that she is willing to at least sit there and listen and hear you out, even if she's not just super knowledgeable in the area?
It helps because it helps because you know that she's gonna support you, and she's just there if you, even if she doesn't know how to do the problem, you know that
I'll find a way, girl.
Yeah, she's always been like that. She helps us through everything, even if she doesn't know how to solve the problem. She'll sit there and ask us, okay, what's the first step, and go through it with us, and even read the directions in the book to make sure she's there for us to help us succeed. And to piggyback off of that, my mom has always been like that. It was never just okay when it came to scholarships or whatever.
They were little bitty.
I can remember even like during the summer, we would have summer work, but she would give us summer extra and things like that to make sure that we knew we were on top of the game. So when summer came, we were still working. When school came in the fall, we weren't clueless as to what was going on. So she's always been supportive in that way, and I think that that's what really that's helped us all, because having a parent to support us, so we're not doing it alone. That's what's been greatly beneficial in all of our lives. Yeah, even if they don't know like how to solve the math problem, just having them there to know that they're there to support you makes it better.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm glad both of you all said, I didn't tell, and I did not coach them, but it's something I said if you've been following me in the Facebook group. Tiara just said it helps even if they don't know how to do it. You just know that you have their support. And then Tamara said that you don't feel alone. When a teen is stuck on something, whether it be one math problem or they feel like they're stuck on the whole concept, and you won't physically be present for them because of your fears, it does something to them. It pulls away from their confidence as well. So they want you physically present, even if, like she said, sometimes it just meant her mom reading the directions out to her and going, okay, what would you do in class? What did the teacher say to do for this step? And helping them to recall like what they learned at school. Sometimes your kids just need that level of support. And I remind you guys of that because I want all of my students, let me say this, anybody that's in my Facebook group and in my sphere, I want these kids to go off to college strong with a strong bond and connection to home. I want them going off to college disconnected from home, not feeling like they have support and love because somebody out there is going to try to give it to them.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you don't want that happening. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. All right. So we have we talked about your testing. We talked about overcoming mindset. We talked about making money with this entrepreneurship stuff. I probably have to bring y'all back on as teen entrepreneurs because we got stuff to do. And then we talked about like what works best. And Lisa said that we focus on their weaknesses, but we also use their strengths. So there's times where we're working on their weakness, but with Tiara, I always talk about money because I know this child likes to make money. So when we talk about math, I always bring up the money because I know she's going to relate to that quicker than if I started talking about other stuff. Tamara, a lot of times we'll get into, sometimes it's political, sometimes it's some social stuff that she said she liked or didn't like. I bring up other things I know is important to them and make that connection in things that they're interested in. So between their interests and their strengths, we bring that in to help them with their weakness. So just make sure when you're focusing on their weaknesses, you got to bring the strengths in alongside that to make that work. If I have been pushing either one of them as hard as I've pushed them sometimes and just only pounded the weakness without bringing who they are into the picture or their strengths, they would not have hung in there with me. They would have given up a long time ago. So I appreciate you guys so much. Are there any last words you want to have? Any last words you want to have?
I would just like to say that I'm excited to see Tiara grow in this process. If anything, I wish that I got to start my freshman year.
That's what we learned.
Because even with my SAT prep, I thought me and my mom thought we started early before my junior year, the summer before my junior year, but we were starting early with the wrong content. So if I would have started freshman year working on my confidence taking tests and working on my math and on my other skills, I would have had the score that I wanted all along. So it's just, I wish that I would have been able to start earlier. But I'm very confident that this program will work. Just do the work and you will reap the reward. So
that's good.
I'm excited to see what I have in store, like how far I can push myself to see if I can get the score I need. And I encourage any other parents and students to join this program because it really has helped my family tremendously. And Miss Tandy it's more of a personal connection because you're not just sitting with some random tutor. She gets to know you and she relates it to how she teaches you. And it helps me stay interested because not one of our sessions have I been bored. She always talks to me. I always tell Miss Tandy about everything and she tells me about how I can relate it. And it's just fun and we're learning at the same time. So I encourage everybody to join.
Thank you, Miss Tandy, for all these years. I think we started, like we said, was it 2015, 2016, somewhere it was
I don't know.
2012, 2013.
She was tutoring me in elementary.
So we've been on this journey together and it's just good to see the fruit of our labor as partners in this. And I really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and for me, it was such a blessing that when I decided to do this full time, that you were like, yeah, the girls need, I haven't figured that out yet. Let's do it. When I came to you and said, I'm switching. And there was a gap, right? So when I left and I said, I have to leave, I'm not going to be able to tutor them. I actually left you out in the hands of another tutor. And you were like,
You did.
And he
it
helped me
was
with
good. I
geometry.
could do the math, but it didn't. Yeah. Tamara actually worked with another, I referred them to another math tutor while I was making my transition. But I'm grateful that you turned around when I said I'm doing something new and I have it set up where I can work with them virtually. You were like, hey, yeah, it always worked before. Let's do it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I will talk to you soon. Tamara and Tiara, we have to schedule time to work on our businesses this week and get all the ideas and get going.
Yes.
And I'll see you guys very soon.
Thank
Okay.
you.